I'm going to invite now the panelists on the stage. Okay.
Now we are starting the panel. We are honored to have today the founder and CEO of Brainient, a video advertising technology company headquartered in London with offices in Bucharest and New York. A part of that, he has been named in Forbes Romania Top 30 Under 30 in 2012 and Square Mile Magazine's Top 30 Under 30 in 2011. Please welcome Emi Kal. Another panelist has not only 11 years of experience in business development, C-level management, he's also the CEO and co-founder of Infinit Solutions Agency, the largest independent digital agency in Romania. Please welcome the amazing Alexandru Cernatescu. The next great professional we would like to welcome in our panel discussion is Tolga, CEO and founding partner of Manifakture. Please welcome him on stage.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Also, John Myers, Dirk, Henke, Shevlin will join the panel discussion together with Aljosa, Jenko, who will be the moderator. Please welcome them.
Yeah, I saw that. Okay, just have this here. Okay. Okay. Are you ready? Okay. Get another chair. So we're missing another panelist and waiting for another chair to come. But before that, maybe just a quick intro into what's the purpose of this panel. You go. Oh, okay. 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 So we got now all the panelists introduced. So we have John, Dirk, Emi, Shane, Alexandru, and Tolga participating. The whole purpose of this panel is to discuss the key topics of the digital advertising, to discuss or actually provide our views on how the shift toward digital media consumption is influencing the advertising. We touch again the cross-channel approach, and we'll discuss or exploit what is the role of ad technology today and what we expect the role of ad technology to be in the future, and also what does it mean for the whole ecosystem and how the whole ecosystem is going to evolve in terms of business models and what's the direction there. So let's start with the first topic in terms of the increasing digital media consumption. So let's ask Tolga, what are the key opportunities of the shift toward digital advertising, or actually digital media consumption for advertisers and brands from your perspective?
Actually, there are lots of opportunities with digital media consumption because of more varieties, more perspectives than traditional media consumption. For example, for ad networks, there are so many metrics, so many different ways to target the focused audience. And in the other hand, the interactive agencies, the creativity and the strategy is so much possible to reach users.
Okay, personalization, yeah, so creativity, interactivity, so everything that we believe we know. But then what are the challenges, Alex? Alex? What are the main challenges?
Yeah, we're going to have to share the microphone. We are going global anyway. The first challenge that we as agencies have is first to make the clients understand the opportunities of using all of these technologies. It's a very fast-moving market, and technologies are being developed all the time. And sometimes it's very hard for brands to have internal systems that allow them to fully understand what's happening. So the first challenge is to actually be able to explain them in real time when a useful technology appears. Another challenge, and this is the, this is the standard one, is to actually foresee where the consumers are going. If you noticed, the best examples of technology usage was when sometimes we were able to foresee where they would go and catch them there before they went. So this, I would summarize that the challenges would be.
Okay, so Amy, what do you see as a consequence of increasing consumption of video content on mobiles and desktop?
So one thing I've observed in Turkey is that all the taxi drivers watch video on their mobile while driving. So it's a great opportunity for life insurance companies to advertise. In all seriousness, I think video has always been about building a brand. And historically, the only way you could run video advertising was on TV, where the conversation was not a conversation. The advertisers would just throw messages at the audience. Digital video on mobile and desktop and so on is now offering the ability to build a two-way connection and a conversation. A good example of that is the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge, where 28 million people uploaded a video of them throwing water at their head, and that raised almost $100 million. And that wouldn't have been possible without mobile and digital video.
True, true. Okay,
Alyosha, if I can add something. One of the ways we are exploiting this multitude of channels and devices is what we call tradigital. Tradigital means building a brand strategy based on the actual consumer journey throughout the channels. So if we manage to look at the consumers realistically, we wake up in the morning, we check out Facebook, then we go to work, we look at outdoor, then we go to the work, we see emails and browse the web and so forth. We need to build around the consumer. The consumer is tradigital, brands need to build that way.
Exactly, and this is why we're talking so much about the cross-channel approach and cross-device. And John, you have probably one of the most experience in terms of cross-channel. So can you explain us why it's so relevant and so important? And whether these synergies that we're now touching upon really exist?
Yeah, I mean, we live in a world when you talk about cross-channel marketing and you think of I only talked about search and social today. But we know that we live in a more complex and fragmented world in marketing. So I think that you can think about the marketing in social or the keywords in search or the imagery in display, but I think the area that pulls that all together, in which we're certainly experiencing at Marin and seeing more and more with our customers, is audiences and audience data. We really see audiences as the glue that brings the different channels of digital marketing together. So what used to be something that existed in old school marketing, where you'd go and buy a TV audience on a demographic and a certain channel at a certain time, you now very much have to take that which has been born in display in digital over the last few years, and look at how you can market to those audiences across the channels. So search drives a huge amount of intent data, huge amounts of clicks at keyword level. If you're not mopping that up and finding out the person behind the click and marketing to that person in display and in social with the same message in the right way, I think you'll find that the fragmentation starts to become quite problematic in some ways.
Exactly. But Dirk, can you elaborate on that in terms of how large are these synergies that we observe in your practice, in your case, and how the advertiser should exploit them?
I mean, cross-channel, I think it's difficult to say that there is this X synergy or whatever. I mean, we have done also different studies, and actually, I think the first presentation I did in Russia 2 years ago was about synergies in between search and display. And I think at the end of the day, it really depends also on the customer journey, on attribution that each and every client is facing and looking at, the attribution models. And it's just important to be aware of from the first touch point to, for instance, a conversion within the e-commerce industry, at least with our clients, how many touch points did the user have, and what we certainly see is that search is usually very early in that cycle, and then we start to retarget them, and they see more personalized ads. This triggers some ideas. They do another search that is even more specific, so even brand search, etc., is triggered through display in that case. So it has a lot of synergies, but of course it really depends on the specific type of industry that you're in.
Okay. So Amy, maybe you have some cases on how the video complements our, other channels.
Yes, I think the easiest way to explain how video integrates with everything is by giving an example.
Yep.
What we do at Brainient is we work with advertisers and help them deliver interactive video ads across any platform and device. And one of our clients is ITV, which is UK's largest broadcaster, and they have the license for running the X Factor show. And what they're currently doing on X Factor is that they've created an app that people use to vote for the contestants, to interact with the show. And what they're doing now when the ad break goes on ITV is they're syncing an ad, a second screen ad on the app while the ad is on TV. So they're getting the brand, the advertiser is getting the brand exposure on TV, and they're getting a way to convert the user on their mobile. So if you're seeing an ad for a Domino's Pizza, which is currently running on ITV, you're seeing the ad for Domino's Pizza on TV, and with 2 clicks of a button, you can order a pizza from your mobile phone.
Nice.
And that's kind of using TV and second screen, which is essentially a display ad, in conjunction in order to get the viewer to actually make a purchase rather than just be exposed to the brand.
Okay, very good one. So Alex, what do you say from the agency perspective? What are usually the key preconditions for the clients to be able to exploit all this? What are the preconditions for Crucial?
This is, and also listening to my colleagues, I'm going to summarize this. We need to understand how the consumer works, how they actually live, how they function. Regarding to this, this example that Amy also gave, in that pizza example, it's very important to see when is the key moment that they order that pizza. What comes to their brain? What is the device that they reach for the first time? The moment we understand them, we can build custom ecosystems for them to feel natural to order. So everything has to start with the consumer, all the time. That is why a lot of technologies that were grown didn't make it, because they couldn't fit on the natural functioning of the consumer. So that's the biggest challenge. We need to understand them more.
Okay. Tolga, any other case of successful execution of cross-channel, cross-device campaign or the whole project that you've seen?
Cross-device usage, for example, mobile usage is so important to engage the users at offline too, because the convergence of online and offline is the key point of success nowadays. And the other thing is the applications made by companies like interactive agencies have to be natively welcome the user to platform differentiation applied much more better. It will be much more user friendly for the end user engage with the brand with cross devices.
Okay. Yeah. Alex?
So coming back to the pizza example, it made me want a pizza now. The idea is the following. It is very important to also think of the process behind it. Let's say we build the system in which the consumer sees the ad, clicks, and then orders it. Agencies now, and this is something that we do at Infinit, we help them build the business process. So they have to transform their business towards digital. Because if everything goes smooth and they order it and then it takes 4 hours for the pizza to come, we do more harm than good. So you were asking about challenges. Businesses not only have to choose digital agencies that do creative projects with new technologies, they have to understand they need to change the way they think behind. They need to adapt their processes to this digital world and to this tradigital consumer.
Okay.
Just one
sure.
quick thing to add. So I think Alex is right. The idea, understanding the consumer is really important, but also the execution is really important. Yep. If we look at Apple, they had arguably their biggest fail was Apple Maps, right? Yep. And there's a funny joke that I keep hearing that illustrates that, which is that a guy using Apple Maps walks into a bar or a church or a hotel. You never know. And that kind of illustrates that even a great company like Apple can fail at building something that consumers want. So it's really important to make sure that the experience you're using as an advertiser to your consumers is the right one at the right time and executed properly.
Thank you. So many of the previous presentations touched on the technology and the role of ad technology within our ecosystem. And it seems, at least, that technology is becoming a core of our industry. So Alex Shane, who is a veteran of ad tech industry, to explain us why the technology is so crucial today and what is its own role today and what you expect for technology to be providing us in the future.
It's a great question, Aljosa. And I think the panel have touched on many important points in relation to fragmentation, but I'd like to take that maybe a step back and just sort of summarize from a higher level. I think today marketers need more help than ever. And that's because of fragmentation. And ultimately, because they need to understand users, or I prefer the term customers, at a user level. So historically, ad tech has been more or less designed and functioning around the idea of segment-based buying. Today, we have the opportunity to, as I mentioned in my piece earlier on, to reach the user at a more personal level. And I think that's why ad tech will remain crucial to the success of many organizations.
Okay, thank you. Alex, how do you think the technology and marketing interact from agency perspective again?
I want to touch three subjects in relation to this question. A couple of years ago, marketing and IT departments wouldn't stand at the same table, you know. And if we had a marketing meeting and IT was coming, everybody was, oh my God, and the other way around. You know how it is. Right now, IT and marketing need to stay together. And also, we as providers of solutions need to find ways to do this. An example I would like to give is a partnership that we developed with Stefanini, which is one of the leading IT companies, in order for us to be able to scale creative solutions to a global level. We need to keep in mind three things. And 4 or 5 years ago, you wouldn't have heard this from an agency. I'm talking about the scalability of solutions. I'm talking about the cyber security threat. Guys, when we deploy a digital asset in a campaign, who's responsible for the security? Who's responsible for the cyber threats? Have you seen what's going on lately? IT has to become part of advertising, has to become part of marketing. And either we want it or not, we need to give solutions that not only look good, function good in terms of UX and UI. They have to be secured, okay? And after all of this is done, and I'm coming back to your idea of execution, advertising needs to have processes. And what is the industry that we can learn best from how to build processes? IT. That is why I really believe that IT and marketing have to go together in the present and furthermore in the future.
Okay. So Tolga, how you in your company leverage the technology? Just Mike? Okay.
Sorry, can I take it again?
Sure. So how do you leverage technology? How do you exploit it?
As already everyone had opinions about mobile penetration, increase of mobile penetration for past few years. And the next decade, we will see Internet of Things become our lives part. So we do leverage technology on these. Also, we applied mobile mediums, but we are trying to research and development for Internet of Things. Also, I saw there is a stream tomorrow, which will be great because we are start to talk on Internet of Things. And the brands need to connect people whenever they are connected to the internet. So we are trying to use the technology to be participate of fragmentation mentioned to reach users what the brand needs.
Okay. So Dirk, for Criteo, the technology means a key, if not one of the key, if not the key advantage. How are you going to preserve it in the future? What's your now priority in terms of development to keep it that way?
So, of course, I mean, we're a technology company by heart, right? So the founders are engineers, and you can feel that. So whenever I'm on stage, I always say I'm like one of the few stupid sales guys, and I don't really matter. Because most of the people working within Criteo are either engineers or scientists. So as a whole, in general, I'm really, really pushy and optimistic about technology. I'm still believing it will massively change and continuously change the advertising industry even more and more and more. And there is, you know, already for a while this thing, you know, madman versus mathman. And, you know, the traditional advertising guys, creative guys are changing. And now you can see that most of the companies are challenged by technologies, and they need to hire more and more scientists rather than creative people or network people. Yeah. So, because now what's happening is that, you know, we are delivering campaigns based on science and not on some beliefs, religions, studies, or whatever. It's pure real-time science, and it's facts. So for Criteo, of course, that's extremely important. To be honest, I joined Criteo more than 4 years ago, coming from the publisher side, having seen the campaigns running and the performance, and thought, wow, that's amazing. But honestly, 4 years later, it's a completely different product and world even. So we continuously keep developing and reinventing ourselves. And the biggest topic that I've covered during my presentation a bit earlier is, of course, the whole mobile topic. Right? So mobile is changing yet again, not the whole ecosystem, but big parts of the ecosystem. So usage is switching over to mobile, so advertising has to move as well. And what I explained a bit earlier, a lot of standards, technologies that worked on desktop don't work in the mobile world and don't work in the app world for sure. So, of course, you know, now having those products ready from our side, we had to start investing a lot already years ago to be able to offer those products now. And honestly, we have to continuously doing that and focusing. Otherwise, we will be outdated at some point as well.
It's constant innovation. So, Amy, your case, so for Brainient, the question is, how much is your company a technology company versus service, or just providing access to specific inventory or specific type of ad formats? So tell us a little bit more.
So at heart, we're a technology company. I'm an engineer. My co-founder is an engineer, although his code is better than mine, much better. But we're a tech company, and as Dirk said, it used to be that advertising was all about the creative, but now advertising is in equal measure about the creative and about the math, about the data. And what we've done at Brainient is before I mention that, if you look at the most successful services these days, consumer services, they're services that are enabling anyone to be a creative. Right? Instagram is now taking my terrible photographic skills and making them beautiful photos. Same with Vine and same with a lot of other services. So what we've done is we've created this platform called the Studio that anybody can use to create interactive videos in the same way that they could use Photoshop to create digital assets. And we've made the Studio available to anyone for free. They just can log in and create stuff in the Studio that then the media agency can take and run as a media asset. So I think technology that enables anyone to be more creative and make use of the data and the math will ultimately succeed.
Okay, thank you. So we've seen technologies available, all these companies and how it's providing it. So, but John, tell us a little bit more how often you see or how extensively the agencies in this region especially, or marketers are leveraging the technologies we, or especially you, and Marin Software is providing.
Yeah, I mean, purely in the context of agencies leveraging technology, I think, if agencies aren't leveraging technology today, I think they'll be very much behind where they need to be. I mean, we work with, huge global networks like Omnicom or Group M or Aegis and down into their local offices, or we work with, strong local level independent agencies as well. And the conversations are very, very much the same. For an agency, it's not just about leveraging like a technology like Marin that you can run on a search campaign and you bid and you optimize the keywords. Mm-hmm. It's also the efficiencies that it offers to the agency teams. So, you never see technology as just a bid tool as such. You've got to think about it in the context of, like what we do, and we support our technology like a Criteo would as well, kind of thing. We don't just hand the technology over and say, hey, off you go. We very much support that with account management and those scenarios to help the agency teams leverage and learn how to use the tools. But the benefit for the agency outside of obviously the marketing performance is the efficiency gains in doing what I call the grunt work, doing all the mundane stuff that you just have to do time after time after time. It could be reporting, it could be optimization, it could be keyword build-outs, it could be anything. Letting the technology own that, giving time back to the guys within the agency team, and driving best practices across the agency teams as well. It brings efficiency, and it means that they can then think a little bit more strategically. Yep. Because I would spin it back the other way in some ways and say, the world of for an agency is changing. Everything is going problematic. Everything is going into the worlds of DSPs and automated buys. So the agency needs to look at what value they add to that piece compared to, I think somebody talked about the Madman example earlier on. Those days are gone. It's very much about where the value they can add, and if they can leverage technology that gives them that 30% of time back to bring real strategic value to their customers, then it's something that an agency should really embrace, and we see that obviously and have seen that for many years now. Is our role's not changing. I think it's just it's diversifying in some ways, and agencies are embracing.
Okay, you're touching a very, very important point, because we see that there has been a technology explosion in the last years, and there is actually quite difficult now to understand who is going in which direction. So maybe Shane, can you actually provide us a little bit more understanding of where is the ecosystem going? What are these? Can you a little bit explain what's happening in the technology here in terms of different players, agencies investing in the trade desks, DSPs, exchanges, and so on?
Mm-hmm. Sure. So yeah, this is a very interesting slide actually. Yeah. Over 1,000 companies in the digital marketing technology space. Not really sustainable. I had the pleasure of listening to Scott Brinker deliver a presentation at the ATS event in London a few weeks back. Yeah. And I'm going to steal a couple of nuggets of wisdom that I heard. I think this is happening because of the convergence of marketing technology and digital marketing technology. Yeah. And there will be consolidation for sure. Yeah. But ultimately, the warning signs are there for agencies. CEOs are beginning ultimately to understand that their most important capital expenditure item in a given year has moved from areas like e-commerce, big data, into pure digital marketing spend. So technology, digital marketing technology spend. And that trend, I think, will continue. Yeah. There's some really interesting statistics. There was a study by Gartner earlier this year, which speaks to that topic specifically. But Scott actually had a statistic which really blew me away from last year, which was a quarter-on-quarter analysis of the DSP seat activity, broken out by trading desk, by agency, and by brand. And so trading desk, agency, ad networks, DSPs themselves using their own seats for managed buys, the fluctuation was plus or minus 20%. Brand usage, on the other hand, had increased by like 270% plus. Oh. So if that's not a clear warning sign that the agency technology guy is no longer the smartest guy in the room, I think it's I don't know what is. But this trend will continue. I think the convergence of marketing technology, whether it be social media listening technology, e-commerce driven technology, the convergence will continue with digital marketing technology, and agencies need to be ready for that.
Okay, so you mentioned, or you touched on the point of convergence of technology. So Dirk, what do you think about the technology? Where is it heading? Is it really converging, or you see still specialization and fragmentation to increase in the future?
I mean, personally, I hope, because literally when I looked at the slides before and the Luma charts and everything, I get confused myself. And I feel every day very stupid, because I don't even know if I should ask, you know, what's that now, or if I'm supposed to know it already for months or years. So there is certainly a lot of changes happening, and consolidation needs to happen. I think on the one hand it's great, right? Like with a lot of new technologies emerging, coming up, because that really drives the innovation, right? And of course it's not a secret. You see all the big guys out there, they only drive innovation mainly through acquisitions. But I mean, when you look at the customer again, what is really the important picture, you know, you have to make sure that the customer is happy and understands what's happening. And that's why, you know, at Criteo also, we are driving a holistic approach, right? Trying to deliver, you know, a full experience and a full campaign from A to Z. And it was funny in the beginnings, you know, years ago, when I tried to look for where was Criteo placed there, it was always at a different place and always at a wrong place. So it's confusing, and yeah, but there is, of course, consolidation happening more and more.
True. So what is happening as well is, as Shay mentioned, that agencies investing in trade desks. So then you have networks DSPs, so you have exchanges and so on. So now what becomes a role of the technology vendors like Marin? So what, you touched already this base, but can you elaborate a bit more on what's the role and how you see the role in the future of the technology vendors within the whole value net or the ecosystem?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see our role changing. I mean, I see it diversifying very much so. I mean, as a business, you know, Marin built its, you know, heritage in search. More and more now, I mean, we made an acquisition about 4 months ago of a retargeting desk called Perfect Audience to give us access to retargeting across things like social, Facebook custom audiences, Twitter, display via DSPs, so OpenX, AppNexus, and so on and so on. So we're very much diversifying and offering complementary technologies outside of just search now that integrates what we've been talking about, brings all the channels together. I don't see our role changing. I think our conversation is changing. Trading desks are something which agencies have built, and obviously have, you know, brought in-house people to build technology, and ultimately, I think they've done this well. They've integrated and brought that to the network groups. I mean, historically, it's guys like Xaxis down at Group M, it's Amnet at Aegis, and so on. I think their role is going to change, because I think you know, in some respects, the quest for what we do and what they do complement each other, and they can actually benefit from using Marin from an audience point of view, and taking audience data and pushing audience data into what, you know, the Marin ecosystem is, because on the spin side of outside of trading desks at agencies, we have more and more conversations about DMPs and online and offline, and how they can aggregate all of their audience data together and then push it out to search channels and display channels and social channels. And I think at the minute that's something trading desks can't offer. And I think the other thing that drives it all is transparency. I mean, we
so it's more about the complementarity, and also complementarity and access in terms of the inventory and types of inventory and so on locally. So, Dirk, you want to add to it?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, I mean, in terms of consolidation and all of the technologies, et cetera, I think one thing, though, is really changing, and that needs to change is the marketer and the advertiser that needs to build competence in-house to understand actually what's happening out there, right? And that's one big thing that needs to change, is that you can't rely on others outside purely. And you know, as you're so technology, but also data-driven, you need to make sure that you understand what's happening, and then choose and steer the right tools the right way.
Yeah, and one of the, okay, Alex?
Yeah, I want to add something very important. Of course, technology does a lot of good, and it helps us deliver more and more results with easier resources, to put it this way. Don't forget something very important. The consumer, and I saw this somewhere recently, the consumer is not a piece of data that watches advertising and clicks, okay? The consumer is human. Yes, actually. So amongst you all guys, yeah, the consumer is real, he's a person. And what happens, it's a rumor, he or she, exactly. The theory is very good. I mean, we follow people, we know exactly what they're doing, we know what they like to buy and when. But the actual implementation is not that good. You see the reactions of the consumers. All of them feel that everybody's spying on them. Everybody's scared that they see banners of the cruise that they looked for 2 years ago and so forth. We need to be very careful with this. And technology does a lot of good. It provides more results. At the end of the day, no matter how much technology you put out there, we really need to add the human touch and understand the consumer.
Okay. Yeah, Amy?
So just another note before we jump into programmatic. When you're an advertising technology company, there are two avenues you can take if you want to be successful. You can either become a full stack, have a full stack offering like Httpool, like Criteo and so on, or you can become a specialist and then integrate with others who are trying to do the full stack. And that's equally successful on both parts. It's just that if anyone in the audience wants to start an advertising technology company, you can do either or, I think.
This is a very, very important point. So then we switch to programmatic, which is one of the segments we cannot omit, and it's also coming as a consequence of all this technology, but also all these players adapting the technology. So now, Dirk, can you explain us a little bit more about how you see the programmatic, and whether this is just a hype, or is this a trend that's going to stay, and how Criteo is adapting to it?
So before mobile, actually, programmatic and RTB used to be my favorite topic. Again, you know, like when I joined Criteo, there was no real programmatic and RTB, and now, honestly, we are running more than 50% of our media buying and inventory is through RTB and programmatic globally seen. And there has been a very interesting time in between the past 2-3 years where literally everybody was talking about it. It's really one of the most hyped words, buzzwords, but only very few actually work with it, deal with it, and actually understand it, to be honest. And it's on the one hand a great technology, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it adds value to everybody immediately and necessarily. So again, also to what we have discussed earlier, you need certain type of technology, you need certain type of intelligence, data analysts to be able to actually crunch certain numbers, data, to be able to use that with an added value. Otherwise, it's just another way to trade and buy media. However, I mean, seriously, we're here in the digital industry, right? So when I go back home now, I have a pile of paper contracts to be signed. Most of them, I admit, are from Russia, which actually need to be stamped and everything signed in blue ink, etc. But we're in a digital industry, and it's a lot of manual, offline paperwork to be done, and it's just completely outdated. So programmatic just means we're able to, you know, buy something in real time and are able to judge at that moment if we really want that, in that case an impression, and how much we are willed and able to pay for it, right? So I think it's just only a question when and not if that will, you know, even keep on growing. And my personal view is that, you know, at some point in the future, all of the media trading will be done programmatic, of course, whether it's performance, what's, you know, mainly happening today, but also branding at some point. Exactly. And we already know there's some publishers for a few years, one in the Netherlands, that are already selling everything programmatic-wise, and both branding and performance inventory of
exactly, fully agree.
So,
Amy, how is your business model adapting to the programmatic? How you exploit it? How you shifting to more like a platform or self-serving or whatever you do?
Well, first of all, we need to tell more jokes because people are leaving.
Okay.
So man,
let's start with one. Let's start with one.
Kidding. No, so how we are adapting. So as I mentioned before, when you're in the advertising ecosystem, you can either become full stack or become a specialist. Yep. And at Brainient, we've decided to become a specialist in the video segment, and we're now market leaders in the interactive video space in Europe. And what we're doing is we're integrating our studio, which I mentioned, with DSPs. So we have a wonderful integration with Adapt TV, which is one of the large video DSPs and was acquired by AOL for a few hundred million, where as you're creating a campaign in the Adapt TV interface as an advertiser, one of the steps is to add interactivity on that video using the Brainient studio. And I think we should see more and more integration into the ecosystem, because when you are building a full stack company, you can't be as good on very particular things as other players in the market. So then kind of integrations make a lot of sense.
Okay, makes sense. Shane, you can add a little bit on this from a very neutral position, because you've been supporting the agencies, the DSPs, exchanges, networks, and so on. So where is everything leading in terms of ecosystem and the roles of different players?
I think our biggest risk is also our biggest opportunity, because we need to ultimately figure out how to make stuff work together.
Yep.
You know, data, advertisers, marketers' data is the currency of the future. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind. And we need to figure out easier, faster ways to make technology work together.
Yep.
That's ultimately, you know, a high-level view that I have. We see that sort of common across all the array of different types of customers that we have. So, you know, whether it's an independent agency, holding group, large global marketer, they all have the same challenge, and that is figuring out how all of the good stuff that many of the 1,000 companies up on your slide offer them, how that can be actually turned into return.
Okay. Okay, clear. John, maybe you add, from your perspective, from a technology vendor, agree, disagree, any other points that you'd like to expose?
No, I absolutely agree with Shane. I think, you know, that's the challenge today. It's stitching the data together. I mean, half the reason for Marin starting as a business 7.5 years ago in search was to give, you know, marketers not only a search technology platform, but also build a conduit. Our founder coined it as the Bloomberg for search, to allow them companies to take disparate amounts of data from the publishers on the Google and the Yahoo side through to their own data, their own conversion data, and we still totally believe in that today. And for us now, it's what Shane's saying is right. It's diversifying and having the ability to not only have a piece of technology that might be a market leader in its own space, but how can you then integrate it to other market-leading pieces of technology and bring that data together? And ultimately, our goal is what we call the true source of ROI, which is getting the customer and the marketers effectively end-user data that might be on an internal CRM system, because that's the true source of their profit, their revenue, rather than just a tag that's firing or something like that, and bringing that into the mix and letting, you know, those companies and those advertisers optimize against that. So it has to consolidate, definitely. It has to be easier, absolutely, to plug this stuff together. Otherwise, it's going to kind of just scale off in its own way and route. And I think, you know, as I say, from the marketer's point of view, it's all the disparate bits of data around the audiences that they have brings that together, as, you know, outside of the technology, and allows the technology companies like ourselves, or obviously, you know, Criteo and companies like that, to really do what we can do to add the value with the technology piece.
Aljosa, just to add to, sorry, I just want to add to the point, John. I believe that we're very much at the beginning of that journey. You know, this is not happening today.
No.
You know, it's the reason that it's an opportunity, and it's crucial that we get to work.
Thanks. Tolga, any additional comments from your side? How you see the technology developing? The mic.
Oh,
Tolga.
Yeah, I cannot comment on digital advertising part, but as being a coding facility manufacturer, I can agree with that. The fragmentation is going on for creating the technology, developing the technology, because agencies need to focus on what the other stuff than the development phases, or creative side, or focusing on media stuff. So I can agree that with the fragmentation and also consolidation of the spread of these companies a slide ago will be much more consolidated in in a few years.
Okay, thanks. So, yeah, Amy, just a quick one, and then we have a last question because we're running late.
A very, very quick one, doing a joke, actually. Doing what I do, I spend a lot of time speaking to people who are not in technology or advertising, trying to understand what their perception of what we do is. And the best way to describe it is this joke, which is, what's 1,000 marketers on top of the ocean? A good start. And that the general perception of advertising is that it's intrusive and it's annoying, and all I want is to watch that YouTube video with cats, so why are you showing me an ad? And I think regardless of how good the technology or the creative or the experience, the message needs to add value to the consumer's life. Otherwise, it's not going to work, which is why all the great campaigns like ALS or Old Spice or other kind of viral campaigns have worked so well, because they're enriching someone's life rather than annoying them with a message with buy this product now.
Good points.
And I think that's the most important thing in marketing.
Very good points. So let's then finish with the last question, which is a little bit more futuristic. And Alex, so what do you think about where the digital advertising is heading?
Well, this is a this is a tough one. I have to get up because I have to access my digital crystal ball. I'm going to share with you an important piece of information. Watch for virtual reality. This is where everything is going. And I'm going to give you 3 fast examples. Okay? Facebook bought Oculus. Okay? Social media tapped into virtual reality. Now, the 2 of them partnered with Samsung and created a device that connects with the mobile phone. You see where this is going? Second of all, Microsoft bought Minecraft, 2.5 billion cubes. No, dollars. You know why they bought Minecraft? It's a virtual space. It's a virtual space in which they can actually help people get creative. And you know where it starts? It starts in the classrooms. Minecraft is one of the most used tools in US in schools. So, the third, it's an example which I love. Do any of you play games like Xbox, PlayStation? Anybody here? Oh my God, we need to connect on Xbox Live. Okay, you know about GTA 5, Grand Theft Auto, the game? You? You? Ah, good, we need to play. Guys, it broke a record. When it launched, in 72 hours, that game beat the biggest Hollywood sales. It beat Avatar, it beat Titanic, it beat all of them. You realize what this means? It's all about going virtual. What I want to tell you, and it's a very important message, focus more on the reality part in virtual reality. We already live in a multiverse, us and all the consumers. We have our own lives here. We have our own lives on Facebook, on LinkedIn. We have our lives when we play GTA 5, when we play Diablo, and so forth. Consumers are living in a multiple reality. The multiverse is here. And we as agencies and you as brands, us together, we need to see that that is the place where we need to be in the future.
Thanks, Alex. Thank you, everyone. Big applause to the panel. And feel free to reach us within the next 2 days. We'll be free to explore, discuss these topics together with you in the next hours, days. Thanks. Bye.